In the first course, you received an overview of the new Passport and learned how to navigate. In this course, you'll learn some specifics about creating projects. We'll look at how projects are structured, walk through the steps involved in setting up a project, and see how line items work. As you learned in the first Foundations course, there are 4 user roles in Passport: Sales, Resources, Resource Managers, and Accounts. Sales refers to anyone who is in business development or client solutions. A resource is anyone who is producing and/or uploading any type of collaboration file, including designs, details, floor plans, and graphic layouts. A resource manager assigns work to resources. Accounts are external customer users. There are also only 2 account types, Expo and Exhibit. Expo-type accounts are typically show or event management customers. These customers will usually be invoiced in EMS. Exhibit-type accounts are typically booths on a show floor, custom construction of property, or permanent installations. These customers will usually be invoiced in ESS or CBS. Both account types will be invoiced in OpenAir for Freeman XP services. Because setting up a project and entering line items are primarily a sales responsibility, much of what we'll be reviewing in this course will be presented from a sales perspective. But since you'll be working on projects in Passport no matter what your role, it is useful to be familiar with the process even if you're not in sales. When it's time to begin the planning process for a project, you need to be ready to go. So it's a good idea to make sure you're all set to use the latest version of Passport. First, check your browser. If you're using anything other than Internet Explorer, you'll need to make sure it's configured properly. Check the links and more info for instructions. Passport does not support IE9, so if you are using IE9, please use a different browser when using Passport. Next, make sure you can access the new Passport. If you've used a previous version, you'll use your same username and password. If you don't have login credentials, contact the customer success team at passporthelp@freemanco.com. Finally, log in at passport.freemanco.com and have a look around. There are several steps in the project setup process, and it's important to do them in the correct order. First, let's take a look at the overall process, and then we'll walk through it step by step. First, you'll need to search for your project in the system. Next, you'll add accounts and booths as needed. Then, you'll set up teams, the people who will be working with you on the project. After that, you'll set up the facility and locations where the project will take place. If your project calls for specific approval processes, you'll set those up next. Then, if you are working with an Expo-type customer, it will be time to set up the functional areas. And finally, when it's ready, you'll work with the Price Master. The project setup process begins with finding your project in the system. To do this, select Project Search from the menu. Then, search for your project using any combination of the fields on the page. The easiest way is to use the project number. If you don't have one, search for your Salesforce opportunity or campaign name. When searching for an opportunity or campaign, it is best to copy and paste the name from Salesforce into the Passport search field. In the search results, projects that have already been set up in Passport will appear with the View Project button. Those not set up in Passport will appear with an Add Project button. Click the Add or View Project button to display the project details page. The project details page provides an overview of your project and is the launch point for setting it up. From this page, you can add accounts, team members, facilities, and locations. Any information populated in TSS or Salesforce.com will be brought in for you. When you add your project to Passport, some data may be imported from TSS or Salesforce, such as account or booth information. If that has happened, you'll see the account listed on the project details page when you click the All Accounts button. If your account isn't listed here, you'll need to add it before you can do any other work on the project. Click the Add Account button to start that process. First, you'll need to search for your account in the system. Then, select it from the results. After you select the account type and, for Expo type customers, an association type, you'll enter a booth number and then click the Add Booth button. Then, click the Edit button and select the default location for the booth. If you need to add more booths to the account, you can do so at this time. Click the Save button to add the account and booth to your project. If you ever need to add more booths to your account, you can do so from the Project Account Information page. You can find detailed instructions for adding accounts and booths under the More Info tab. Every project needs a team of people working together to get things done. So your next step in setting up a project is to add team members. Anyone who will be involved in the addition or editing of any project details information must be on the project team. Anyone from sales who is going to place orders or work on collaboration items in Passport needs to be on the project account team. To add a member to the project team, start by clicking Search for internal users. Enter all or part of a person's name and then click Search. You'll get a list of people who match your search criteria. Find the person you wish to add and click the Add button. Now that user is on your project team. Please note that if you added your project from Salesforce, the person who first added the project will automatically be added to the project team. Adding members to a project account team is a similar process, only it's done on the project account information page. You can add Freeman users as well as customer users to the team on this page. You'll need to add yourself as a Freeman user before you can work on the account. Once you've done that, you'll be able to see the project on your dashboard. After you've set up your teams, the next step is to set up the facility and locations. That is, the venue for your project and the places within that venue where project activities will take place. This has to be done before you start entering line items, because you'll need to specify a facility and location for each line item. Please note that this step is not required if you are working on a project that was pulled in from Salesforce, because we understand that you may not know this information at the time you begin work on an opportunity. For newly imported projects, the default facility and location may already be in the system. You can add additional locations for that facility from the Facility Master. If needed, you can also add freeform locations as well as additional facilities. Next, it's time to set up the approval process for your project. Approval processes determine the route for review and approval of collaboration files within the customer team. It is not necessary for your customer to be trained or well-versed in Passport to use this feature, and it allows the system to route a file for approval to multiple people within your customer's organization before it is returned to you with needed changes or an approval. Remember our collaboration workflow diagram from the first course? Well, an approval process assigns customer names to the review and approval steps and specifies the order in which those people should review each file. If the customer will not be reviewing files, you can skip this step. Approval processes are set at the project account level. If the customer will be using Passport to approve files, the approval processes should be in place before you enter collaboration line items for the account. You will do this by selecting Approval Process from the menu, which will take you to the Approval Process page. On the Approval Process page, you can set file owners and reviewers, and also indicate whether the file owner should be included in the revision and approval cycles. If you are working with an exhibit type account, you will skip the Functional Area Setup process. If you are working with an Expo type account, the last thing you need to do before you can start entering collaboration line items for an account is to set up the account's functional areas. When you're ready to do this, use the menu to jump to the Functional Areas page. Functional areas, formerly known in EMS as areas and sub-areas, form the structure for the way line items and the invoice are organized in a project. Each one you create can be designated as a parent, a child, or a grandchild. You can also select default options for several line item fields, which will save time later when you enter line items. Once you've created a new functional area, you can add attachments and notes for your work orders, or you can immediately start entering line items. If you are working with an exhibit type account, you will skip the PriceMaster setup process, as your pricing will continue to be done in ESS. If you are working with an Expo type account, importing and updating the PriceMaster is the last step in setting up a project. You can begin entering line items before pricing has been approved, and the prices will update once the PriceMaster has been imported, but you should import the PriceMaster as soon as possible. On the Freeman PriceMaster page, just click the Import from TSS button. After a few seconds, the list of items available for the project will display, along with the approved prices. You can then adjust prices and discounts, set price tiers, and add and delete items from the PriceMaster as needed. It's important to remember not to re-import the PriceMaster after you've begun adjusting prices. Doing so will erase all of your adjustments. Passport has many features that simplify the tasks of entering and tracking line items. Let's take a look. The line item summary page lets sales users view the line items for a project account organized by booth or functional area, depending on the account type, or by schedule or order number. Each view offers different filtering options. In all views, you can select one or more individual line items within a booth or functional area and then take action on them. You can also add line items on this page. Please note that this page is not available to resources and resource managers. Click the View options to see the different views and their available filters. The Schedule view organizes line items by location and lists them in order of their setup and teardown times. You can export the filtered line items from this view to a PDF file or to an Excel worksheet. Additional filtering options include start time, end time, and status. For Expo type accounts, once line items have been submitted to ticketing, you can see them listed by their order numbers on the TSS order view. In this view, you can edit individual orders and generate PDF work tickets. For additional filtering options, click More Filters. When working with exhibit type accounts, order level changes will be made in ESS. In the default booth or functional area view, you can set the order for displaying the table columns, as well as scroll horizontally to see all the columns. Clicking More Filters gives you additional filtering options. Individual line items are the most basic building blocks of a project. Sales users can enter all types of line items on the Create New Line Item page. The fields on this page vary depending on the specific type of line item selected. The required fields for submitting to ticketing are highlighted in orange. Watch as we create a new collaboration line item. First, we'll select a functional area or booth, and then we'll search for our item. After we select our item, we'll fill in the fields on the page. This is a collaboration line item, so we'll need to fill in some collaboration details. Then, we can update price information if needed. In the Collaboration Workflow section, we'll select a file owner and an approval process. Some collaboration line items call for more than one activity. For example, a registration counter typically needs design, detail, and graphics production layout. One or more stages can be added for each activity. Each type of collaboration line item will display default stages. You'll see these defaults in the Collaboration Workflow section of the Line Item Details page when you first create a line item. You can add, delete, and modify stages to suit the needs of any specific line item. If you aren't sure what to do, you can leave the defaults or contact the Resource Manager in the selected Design branch. If we have any supporting documents such as logos or sample images, we can upload them by clicking the Upload Documents button. Now, we'll save our changes. Then, we'll submit our line item to collaboration. After Sales submits a line item to collaboration, it goes to a Resource Manager for assignment. Once the resource manager assigns a line item to a resource, it will display in his or her work queue, so the resource can review the specifications on the line item details page and begin work. If additional information is required, the resource can send the line item back to sales with a message. Because so much of what you'll do in Passport involves line items, it's good to know a few things about how you can work with them. On both the line item summary page and the line item details page, the Actions dropdown offers options for acknowledging, adding, copying, and canceling line items. From here, you can also send items to your customer as well as submit them for collaboration. Another handy feature is the ability to add and edit multiple line items at once. The Copy option on the Actions dropdown lets you copy line items within your project, but if you want to copy line items from another project, you'll need to use the main menu. Want to learn more about creating projects in Passport? Check out the links under More Info. For a wider selection of articles about using Passport, click Help in the Passport menu to visit the Passport Help Center. If you have more questions, you can always contact the Customer Success team through the link in the Help Center. Congratulations, you have completed this course. In the next Passport Foundations e-learning course, you'll learn more about the collaboration process, including uploading files, assigning resources, and the file review process. The course also touches on reports, invoicing, and customer administration.